So, 10 Warnings from a Devil's Advocate was the title I had chosen for this topic, for this event. Primarily because we think the devil is a bad guy. We think he's evil. We think he's not going to give us good advice. But sometimes people who have struggled, people who have suffered, people who have gone the wrong way and corrected themselves sometimes give us very good advice. In fact, the Onida devil that you see here was actually giving us very good advice. Neighbors envy, owners pride was an amazing piece of advice, and it sold a lot of televisions. So I'm going to take you through a very brief introduction about my own life, the ups and downs and ups I've had, and 10 little lessons that might not be found in books. You may not find these in typical books, typical advice, typical webinars. This is going to be slightly different. Take it, leave it, up to you. Let me get started. Just like every one of you, I was a hardworking, smart student, really worked hard for the exams, prepared throughout the year. First rank boy. I was really the topper in class. I I blew the competition out of the water. Every little competition out there. Was there a music competition? Was there an essay writing competition? Was there an oratorical competition? I was participating, and more often than not, I was winning. I even learned Hindi and Sanskrit, one of the very few schools during my time that taught these additional languages. Top of the world, really, I was doing really well. In fact, my 12th boards, I was in the top 2% of the many lakh students that took the examination that year. Really top of the class. I followed it up with a performance at JEE, the joint entrance exam at IIT. I was 129 All India rank. I got into IIT Madras. I took electronics and communication. That's where I was. 1989, top of the world. There is nothing left to achieve. I'm there. Little did I know what was going to come. The immediate future, I had no idea. I started bunking classes. I was distracted. I was focused on probably the wrong things. When I should have been preparing for electronics, I was at awe. I was amazed by the computer center that they had set up at IIT. I was spending late nights there. I failed courses. I collected, this was my report card. A lot of U, they called it a U, they called it an F. They asked me to repeat courses. Some courses I could not repeat simply because I didn't have the attendance for it. The attendance I didn't have because I hadn't completed the previous course for it. The institution wanted me to do something. I was doing something, but I was doing something else. I was focused on computer programming while I was enrolled in an electronics course. I was rusticated from the college. I was asked to leave. They told me, enough is enough. Take a semester off. Go home. My father actually suffered a stroke. My girlfriend dumped me. I thought I had a good, steady friend, and I couldn't tell her the truth, and she thought I was a nobody going nowhere. She dumped me. My father suffered a stroke. For the first time in my life, he sees his son perform poorly. He's not able to take it. He had a small clot in his brain. Until his death, there was a vision impairment in him. I was kicked out of IIT. After that one semester, they brought me back. I still didn't learn the lessons. I was asked to leave the organization. You may know many students, many top performers. Among those top performers, you may know some of them who get through IIT. How many do you know who have been asked to leave IIT? Meet me. I am one of those very few people. I am not proud of it. I am not happy about it. Even today, when I think about what happened, I regret those days. But that's what happened. I was asked to leave the institute without a degree, they kicked me out. I contemplated suicide. I even thought probably it's time to end it all. It was a very wrong thought. I shouldn't have had it, but I did contemplate suicide. That's where I was. 6 years after I started my BTech journey, I knew some stuff, but I didn't know enough to get myself a degree. I was down in the dumps. I didn't really know what was happening in my life. But when you hit rock bottom, you start learning some lessons. You start climbing your way up. I learned all sorts of hacking. Stuff that computers weren't supposed to do, I started learning. Shortcuts, intricate pathways, stuff that wasn't available in the manuals, stuff that the professors and the seniors were struggling, I was able to break through. I learned the lessons of overcoming failure. What are the tips? What are the tricks? How does one overcome failure? For a long time, I was thinking success was not failing at all. Only later, only my adventure at IIT taught me success is about continuing past many failures without losing your enthusiasm. That is success. So I overcame failure. And I also learned what is it that really matters at the end of the day. Do you know how to work with people? Not compete against them, not do something better, but can you work with people? Who do you know? How can you work together? That is something I learned at IIT. I also learned that paper credentials are probably not as important as one thing. If you have a skill and you can bring it to the table and you can give a demonstration of it, the degree, the paper credentials, the particular class that you've got, the distinction does not really matter all that. Today, 25 years later, this is where you find me. I am the Director of Engineering at Zoho Corporation, one of the top-notch high-tech companies in India, serving software around the world. I also head Zoho Schools of Engineering, Zoho Schools of Learning, where we teach students. I'll be talking a little about it later too in my talk today, where we teach students right out of class 12 and give them an alternative to conventional college education. I'm really happy that I have come. So I have been at the top of the world. I have seen rock bottom and I have come back. So if I give you some tips, don't look at them as tips from a successful person. Don't look at them as tips from a rank failure. Look at them as tips from somebody who has seen the two extremes. You won't find many people like that. I'm not proud of being like that, but I am like that. I'm going to share some bits of advice from that unique position that I find myself in. Let's get started. There is an audio disturbance. Can we mute everybody? Other speakers, can we mute? Thank you. The first lesson is there will never be a plan. We always have this uncle who comes to us during vacations, who comes to us during semester ending, who comes to us just before we finish our college and we are about to start our career. They tell us, hey, please read this. Hey, please do this course. Hey, please take this additional degree. Yes, there are passions, but you can wait. You want to become like A.R. Rahman, you want to bat like A.B. de Villiers, that can wait. Get yourself a strong platform. Settle, lifeless, settle in life. Then from there, you can build. From his point of view, I look at it as very good advice because he comes from the previous generation. He doesn't know what Corona means to a college graduate. He doesn't know. He has no idea how much the internet has changed the world around us. So I'm not disrespecting him, But I am only telling that his eyes are closed, probably. He doesn't know enough to give us that advice. Tim Cook was asked a couple of years into his college, Tim Cook was asked, draw up a 25-year plan. Just getting out of college, he was asked, tell me where you will be 25 years from now. And Tim Cook, like everybody else in his class, actually drew up that full plan. How accurate was it? It was reasonably accurate for about 18 months. For about 1.5 years, his 25-year plan was accurate. And he says, how can it be accurate? The world is going to change. The environment is going to change. In fact, the companies you work for might close down, might change. The domain might change. You may switch companies, you may switch domains, you may even start a new educational career. You may do a startup. Who knows? There are so many changes along the way. All you can actually do is be prepared for change. மாற்றம் ஒன்றே மாறாததுன்னு சும்மா சொல்லல. That's the only thing you can be prepared for. How adaptable, how flexible, how on your feet you can think. Because this is what we think will happen. We are here, we need to go there, this is the path we have to take. That's what we think will happen. That's what that uncle thinks. But actually, this is what happens. We go all over the place. We go everywhere else. We keep being bounced around. Sometimes we make that decision. Sometimes that decision is made for us. And when we land at B, it's not the destination. There is something else that becomes visible when we land at B. That is how complicated the world is. Plans won't work here. This is how complicated things are. Movies make it very simple. There is this boy across the gate. He looks. There is a woman coming in slow motion, fall in love. Love at first sight. But that's not how passion is actually born. Passion isn't ever born like that. Passion follows a spiral of very hard work. Because if you want to really be passionate about something, you spend some time. You have no idea, but you spend some time. You like what you do during that time. And you improve because you liked what you did, you improve. And because you improved, you actually spend a little more time. And you like it a little more. And you improve even more. This is something you didn't do for marks. This is something you didn't do for grades, for graduation, for money. This is something that came from inside. You did it because you wanted to do it. When you do something like this, at the end of this spiral is passion. In fact, if you look at the dictionary definition of passion, where it comes from the old Latin, the French, the Latin. It means to undergo pain, engaging in an intense desire to the point where it hurts. உடல் உபாதையாகும் அளவிற்கு, உடலை வருத்திக் கொள்ளும் அளவிற்கு. You will do something, you will do anything, you will even be ready for loss to achieve what you are passionate about. Passion is pain. In fact, there was a famous movie, Passion of the Christ. It's not about Christ being passionate about something. It's the pain he went through. அப்படின்னு ஒரு செம மூவி ஒன்று இருக்கு. Go watch it. So, when you're truly passionate, you're pushed along by your desire to the point where you're willing to endure pain. மெய் வருத்தம் பாரார், பசி நோக்கார், கண் துஞ்சார், அந்த கர்மமே கண்ணாயினார் வருது இல்லையா? That is something that doesn't just like that come at first sight. So you have to cultivate it. You have to work towards it. So that's the first lesson that I learned, that I would like to share. Do not be misled by people who tell you, do this, எப்படியாவது பல்ல கடிச்சு, do this, then you will be really happy. That never works. There will never be a master plan. What's the second lesson? The second lesson is degrees won't really matter. At Zoho, we had a very strange situation. We were not a very famous company at that time. We were looking at graduates. Only those who came to us we could interview. We could not go to top-notch colleges and tier one colleges. And when we compared them with what we wanted, there was this gap. We will talk about it a little later too. So we asked them, "Hey, you say you studied something. How useful is that for what you're doing right now?" And we were surprised, we were shocked by the results that came. A very small percentage said, yes, college was really useful. But so many of them said it was a massive time waste, money was wasted, college was good, but I was just loafing around. There seemed to be a total disillusionment what they wanted to do and what they were actually doing. So college was not useful at all. There was a total lack of context. Why are we reading? Why are we studying what we are studying? That lack of context. Which is why we thought we can try a small contribution. Can we be the change that we are looking for? We want change. We want everything to change around us. But can you take some active role in bringing about that change? We thought we could. We called ourselves Zoho Schools of Learning. Originally, we were calling it Zoho University. And we said, we will train our students. We will take them out of class 12 or diploma. No fees, no exams, no attendance. In fact, we will pay them money. We pay our students 10,000 rupees every month as stipend from day one. It's a 24-month period. And we train them in English, mathematics, programming as in software engineering, design skills and business skills. And we provide extreme context. Whenever we teach them something, we tell them why it is important, the context. We teach them relevance. Where is it used? Look at it. That's where it's used. And it's experiential. People who teach are not academicians who have never been in the real world, but people who teach are people who actually work in the software company called Zoho. Extra time they take, they come and do evening classes. The stuff they teach is stuff borrowed from the work they did in the morning. That experiential feeling that you can bring in a classroom is irreplaceable. We have a school of technology. We have a school of advanced study. We also teach design and business. We've been running it for 15 years. 800 plus graduates out of these schools of learning work at Zoho today. 1 in 10. We are 10,000 people strong and 900 of them are from Zoho schools. So 1 in 10 of them is from Zoho schools. They haven't seen the inside of any other academic institute. So degrees won't matter all that much. Probably I'm giving you that advice a little too late, but all I want you to internalize is, if you think you have an amazing degree, don't turn your collars up. You are just a degree better. At the same time, if you have struggled and if your degree is not something to be really proud of with respect to the society, don't worry. Dig deep and find out what skills you have learned. What have you brought to the table? If there is an interview, if there is an evaluation, what have you brought to the table about what you can do, what you can demonstrate, and what you can prove to the person on the other side? That's more important. Talking about the academy industry gap, there will always be this gap. Let's understand that. People talk about this bridging the gap. Every college calls people. I'm still hearing audio disturbance. Can the other speakers mute themselves? Yeah. Every college invites people from the industry. They bring a person, a senior person in a factory. They bring a domain specialist. They bring a practical senior manager to teach us about quality and the conventions in a company. And they think they are bridging the gap. That's what they say. And they call us, please contribute to our curriculum so that we can work together and bridge this gap. Colleges produce some output. companies need some input. There is this gap all the time. Let's do something about it. I used to participate in many such interactions too. But along the way, a lesson I learned was probably this gap is good. Just like that surf advertisement that says, Daag acha hai, karai nalladu, அப்படின்னு சொல்ற அந்த advertisement மாதிரி, it's probably good to have a gap like this. Because only when you have a gap, can you actually identify who the leapers are, who the jumpers are, who the self-motivated people are, who are the ones who take the initiative to step over. If there is a test and everybody in the test is 100 on 100, is that a useful test? That's my question. So let there be a gap and let us give students an opportunity to bootstrap themselves, to pull themselves up by their shoelaces, to actually bring something out of nothing. I wasn't taught this. Why are you asking me? That should go away. Instead, I wasn't taught this. I don't know this yet. Give me a day. Let me do research and come back to you and wow you. We need people who have that self-initiative, and hence, do not complain that there is a gap. Be happy that there is a gap. It will exist forever. That's my next lesson that I have learned. We have heard of Dronacharya, the famous teacher. In fact, the Drona Award given to the best coaches was named after him. Dronacharya from the Mahabharata, he taught archery to the whole group of Kauravas and Pandavas. And when we think of Drona, we know this lesson. Everybody is asked to shoot a bird, and before they shoot, they are asked what they are shooting at. Everybody describes everything in great detail, and only Arjuna is able to say, I am focused. I only see black. What black? The black of the eye of the bird, the left eye of the bird, which is sitting on the branch, which is sitting on the trunk of the large tree with skies in the background. I don't see any of those. I see only the black eye, the left eye of the bird. And all our teachers, all our elders, all our senior motivational speakers tell us this story and say, focus, focus, focus. I was also guilty of giving this story to my own son. But only recently, I was reading Mr. Jayamohan, எழுத்தாளர் ஜெயமோகன் இருக்காரே, அவரோட மகாபாரதம், வெண்முரசு அப்படிங்கிற மகாபாரதம் I was reading. Just 10 days ago, he finished that 26-volume book. Amazing, creative outburst, creative genius. And in that book, he gives a beautiful twist. And that's where I learned what Drona says makes sense. என்னப்பா focus focusன்னு ஒரு விஷயம் மட்டும் பார்க்க சொல்றாரே was the concern I had. Look at what Drona says in this book. ஒற்றையடி பாதையில் புதருக்குள் ஒரு பாம்பு தலை எடுத்ததை ஓரக்கண்ணால் அர்ஜுனன் கண்டான். துரோணர், அந்த பாம்புக்கு அருகே எத்தனை முட்டைகள் கிடந்தன என்றார். அர்ஜுனன் திகைத்து பார்க்கவில்லை என்றான். Do you notice the contrast? The exact opposite of I haven't seen anything else is good there. I haven't seen anything else is bad here. 7 என்றார் துரோணர். மனிதனின் விழி வளைந்தது பிறைமுக அம்பு போல. பிறைமுக அம்பில் ஓரத்தைத்தான் கூறியதாக்குவோம். ஏனென்றால் நடுப்பகுதி அதன் விசையாலேயே உள்ளே சென்றுவிடும். விளிம்பு கூறியதாக இல்லையேல் அம்பு வெட்டும் பணியை செய்யாது. நம் விழிகளில் நேர் முன்பகுதி நம் சித்தத்துடன் தொடர்புள்ளது. அது காண்பதை நாமும் காண்போம் என்பது உறுதி. வளைந்த ஓரக்கண்கள் ஆன்மாவுடன் ஆன்மாவுடன் நேரடியாக தொடர்புடையவை. அவற்றை தீட்டி வைத்துக் கொள்பவனே வில் ஞானி. அதையே 3 கண் பெறுதல் என்கிறது தனுர்வேதம். So finally, here was a maestro, here was a genius who was telling us peripheral vision is important. I have learned the same thing about life, and people who are focused on a single thing, who are deeply involved in just one thing, are at risk. If you are a developer, programming developer, don't be an idiot and think I will never have to learn design. If you are a designer, don't be foolish and think I will never have to learn how to write or communicate in English. Everything is networked. Everything is interrelated. If you want to do an amazing game like Angry Birds, is programming enough? You need to know physics, parabolic physics, laws of motion you need to know. If you want to build an amazing software like Google Translate, you need to know linguistics. Google Maps, you need to know driving. Multi-skilled is the name of the game today. Particularly post-corona, the demand on your skills is not as deep as it is wide. People want to know what else can you do. Many times, hobbies, side initiatives that you take up suddenly become critically important to what you're asked to do. So, Drona was wrong and right when he said, focus, focus, focus. You must also know when doing something, what is the context? Why am I doing this? What is the big picture? The big picture is so important. Otherwise, you will be a one-track minded person doomed to failure in the age of corona. 3 R's. People keep telling us there are 3 R's, and if you know these 3 R's, you are a learned person. And when I was a kid, my dad used to tell me they are reading, writing, and arithmetic. So, கணக்கு பண்ண தெரியணும், எழுத தெரியணும், படிக்க தெரியணும். Reading, writing, arithmetic. I would say the 3 R's are still relevant, but they have changed a little. It is still 3 R's. Rigor is the first R. By rigor, I mean discipline. Anything that you do, how disciplined you are in that approach. Do you take notes? Do you document every effort you do? Do you pursue the masters of the art? Or are you just nunipul meigiraya? Or are you just dabbling until the first difficulty comes along and you stop doing it? Rigor, ability to keep at it. Just ask yourself, is there anything at all that you have done in the past 1 year, in the past 7-8 months, that you didn't used to do before 2020? What did you start doing in 2020 that you have done without fail for 21 days? 21 நாட்களுக்காவது விடாது ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் கடமையை போல் ஆசையுடன் நீ செய்தது ஏதாவது இருக்கிறதா அப்படின்னு உங்களை கேட்டு பாருங்க. Don't tell me brushing teeth, bathing. No. Stuff that you didn't do till 2019. Some new skill, some new pursuit. Rigor is bringing those 21 days of discipline. It takes 21 days for it to become a habit. What new habit do you have? That will demonstrate that you have learned. What's the next star? Relevance. Whatever you do, anything that you learn, are you able to connect it back to what you have already learned? It's a huge constellation of dots scattered. Are you able to, when a new dot is added, are you able to draw the connections? Oh, this is connected with that. This is connected with this. This is going to be connected with that. That is why I am getting to know this. Are you able to create that network? The difference between data and information, information and knowledge, knowledge and wisdom is all about the interconnections and the relevance that you can bring. Do not learn in pockets. Life is not going to be in pockets. You're just finishing college. Till now, you've learned it as semesters, you've learned it as departments, you've learned it as subjects. Life isn't going to be given to you like that. Remember those plates that you get in mess? Each has a small compartment, nothing will flow into another. That's not how life is. Life is a leaky banana leaf, all mixed into one another. Do you know how to eat on that? Relevance will help you. That is the second R. And the third R, again, we don't give this enough importance, is relationships. When you meet a stranger, can you build a lasting relationship with that person? Can you look beyond that person's problems in attitude, problems in personality, and see if there is something that you can celebrate? Do you know who to ask if you have a problem in something? Do you have a network of experts who you can bank on? Do they have you in their list of experts? Relationships. Colleges do not give enough importance to that. This is something we are left to learn ourselves. This is not taught in the classrooms. This is taught in the mess hall. This is taught in the college compound, under the banyan tree. These are important. It's important that you give this the attention it deserves. Because when you get out into the real world, it's not classes, exams, semesters, pass, fail. It's life. And life plays a very different game. So, rigor, relevance, and relationships are the three new R's that you need to focus on beyond just reading, writing, and arithmetic. What's the sixth lesson? The sixth lesson is about fighting. Fighting we always do. We don't need to be told to fight. But I'm going to tell you to fight. Let's see what. The first thing is you need to know that your peers, people who you are with, aren't enemies. So often we see people in class where they are great friends until exam time comes, until placement time comes. There are only 2 seats. These 3 students who want all of whom want that seat, they stop talking to each other. They stop sharing information because it's a question of life, they say. Career, they say. We are trained from LKG times. We are trained to compete. So, if there are 2 hands, they only look at them as arm wrestling. Who is stronger? We don't look at it like this. Collaboration is a forgotten art. Can people come together, learn? Can they do better simply because they are together? Because one person's strength and another person's weakness equalize and something good comes out of them? We don't give that importance. In colleges, this is what we see. People competing against each other. People of the same class. Do you compete with the people in some other department, in some other class? You don't. You compete with the people in your class. The exact opposite is what life has waiting for you. When you enter life, you do not compete with the people you see every day. They are your teammates. You work with them, you collaborate with them, you cooperate with them, you share. One is a designer, one is a technologist, one is a marketer, one is a writer, one is the manager, one is the tester. They all come together and something beautiful comes out of their collaboration. They compete against outsiders, a similar team in some other company. It's the exact opposite of how competition happens in the classroom, in a college. Be ready for that. Understand that you need to work with new rules. So fight your tendency to fight. Whenever you see a cooperating friend, do not try to find out how can I defeat this person? How can I climb higher? How can I pull this person higher? That's the crux. Don't pick the wrong game. Because when you're competing, there are three ways to compete. One is to compete with the system. I am 40 out of 100. 40 they have set as pass mark. The other is to compete with others. I am the first in class. I am not the last in class. I am in the top 5. I don't care about my scores. The third is to compete against yourself, your past, your previous version. What can you become? How close to what you can become have you become? How much longer? That's the only meaningful competition there is. Not with the system, not with others around you, but with your own past. Can I do better than what I did yesterday? Can I reach higher? Can I run faster? Can I do better? That is the only meaningful competition. When you play a game, if you are playing football, for example, if you have scored 4, does it mean you have won? If you have scored 1, does it mean you have lost? You can't say until you know what the opponent has done. It is constrained by, it is limited by, the shape is changed simply because there is a competition, there is an opponent. On the other hand, consider this game. In the game of caroms, you don't really need to bother about who your opponent is, as long as you focus on clearing the board in one shot. You hit one powerful shot and then 3 coins go in and you get a return because you have just scored a point, and you continue to play without a break and you clear the board. Even if the person opposite you is the world champion in caroms, it's not going to matter because you have competed against the ideal greatest you can ever be and you have won. So play the right game. Don't be a small fish in a big pond. When you step out into work, don't be misled by brand names. Huge companies, very large, multinational, has branches in 400 countries. There are no 400 countries, first of all. Don't be misled by bullshit like that. What you need to focus on is, don't be a small fish in a large pond. Don't be a large fish in a small pond. Be a growing fish in a growing pond and learn to play the right game. Compete against your past, not with the system, not with those around you. So pick the right game. Don't pick the wrong game. The 8th lesson is about being aware of something. What is it? There was this interesting story I read about animals in the jungle wanting to improve their skills. They set up a school. Everything goes on fine. The duck is doing very well in swimming until its webbed feet start getting injured. Why? It's being asked to run. It's being asked to run, and the webbed feet get injured. The hare is winning the running classes. It's so happy, but it fails the swimming class. It's asked to stay late. It's asked to work harder. You're not going to pass this year if you don't swim well. The squirrel has problems with swimming, with running, but it is winning the climbing game. The eagle goes to the top of the tree fastest, but it is failed in the climbing game because it is not using its claws to hold on to the trunk and climb like everybody else. It is not enough if you do it, you have to do it my way, says the teacher. So, finally, who really wins? A strange animal like that can probably run, probably swim, probably climb, all just pass mark. It can't run faster than the hare. It can't swim faster than the duck. It can't fly faster than the eagle, but it gets all the credit. And we also have animals like this one, the prairie dog, which is a famous digger, and it's not being given admission into the school at all. And so they are raising boards. Digging is not in the curriculum. So this is the world that we are in. Our academic institutions are actually making us all boringly average. They are not giving enough importance to our exceptional abilities. Look at this man. I once scored 3 marks out of 100. I must be really bad, I thought. I don't understand why anyone would want to learn maths. I could not understand the complications behind it. I have never used formulas in life. I just wanted to get through my 10th grade exam, he says, because after that I can opt out of maths. He passed the 10th exam only because he can not touch maths after that. Looking back, I have never worked this hard in cricket the way I did to pass in that exam. Who are we talking about? That's who we are talking about. So I'm not saying aim to be Virat Kohli. I'm not saying skip maths altogether. All I am saying is beware of the jungle school. Beware of a system that tries to not give any credit to the exceptional strength that you have, that focuses only on filling your weakness. We all have weaknesses. I am very bad at a few things. But I have realized that my life is not long enough for me to bother about those weaknesses and fill them up. Instead, if I can focus on the few strengths that I have, not only will I be happy, not only will the people who work with me be happy, the world will be a better place. We don't want Sachin Tendulkar to pass 10th standard. We don't want A.R. Rahman to get a college degree. We want them to focus on their strengths. If they can do it, you can also do it. Spend time identifying that unique strength that you have and sharpen it. Spend conscious time sharpening it. The lockdown is the same for everybody. 21 day, 90 day, 45 days. It's the same. Do you spend it playing PUBG? Do you spend it complaining about stuff? Or do you spend it learning a new skill? That is left to you. It is the gift Corona has given. It has slowed the economy down. It has asked us all to change gear. Stop. Don't rush madly. Don't be in 5th gear all the time. You're running a marathon. You're not running a sprint. You won't be able to run this fast all the time forever. You need to slow down. Conserve your energy. Point that in the right direction. That is the need of the hour. So, beware of the jungle school. What's the 9th one? Your goal. What can your goal be? Let me tell you what it can't be. So, what is happiness? If you want to look at what happiness is not the destination. It's not going through a twisted, adventurous journey on the top to the top of the mountain and reaching there first. It's not the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Mayai, kanal neer. In my opinion, in the opinion of some of the greatest people, the motivational gurus in the world, happiness lies there. Happiness lies in the path. Do you see that beautiful turn? The road actually knots around itself while going up. If you are in a mad rush to reach the top of the mountain, Assume you are in a college outing with friends, team trip, or college excursion. Would you be telling the driver, ஓட்டுங்கண்ணா ஓட்டுங்கண்ணா நம்ம தான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் போகணும்? Or would you ask the driver, அண்ணா ப்ளீஸ் நிறுத்துங்க, எனக்கு ஒரு செல்ஃபி எடுத்துக்கணும், இங்க இந்த மாதிரி இடம் நான் பார்த்ததே இல்லை அப்படின்னு. Too often we all make the mistake of thinking the goal, the destination, the final end point, that is where I'll get all my happiness. Almost anybody who has achieved anything in life says the exact opposite. Happiness is in the path. Happiness is in the way. Happiness is in the adventures that you have along the way. Happiness is in the people you meet, the difficulties you overcome, the challenges you actually encounter, the struggles you have. That is what shapes you, and that is what creates the relevant environment in you to receive happiness, they say. So enjoying the journey is probably the greatest thing you can learn in life. Enjoy the journey. Your goal cannot be happiness. You can't say, I want to be happy. You can say something meaningful, like, I want to contribute something to society. I want to be more of a creator than of a consumer. I'm taking, every minute I live in this world, I'm taking something from the world. What am I going to give back? What will be my account, my credit debit account when I die? What will be my account? Focus on that. Happiness will happen automatically because you are a fulfilled soul in that sense. The last lesson is about purpose. What can be our purpose? Why are we here? Why have we been put onto this earth? There is this beautiful movie called Hugo. It's a 3D movie. And in that movie, there is this little boy. This small boy is an orphan, and he takes care of the giant clock above a railway station. His grandpa used to take care of it, and he takes care of it now by oiling the wheels and keeping it running around the year. That's his job. And he meets a friend there, a girl who seems to have lost her purpose too, and he befriends her. And he tells something very profound. He looks out through the clock tower. There is the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And he says, I love machines. They just do what they are supposed to do. And when I look around in this world, I look at it as a huge machine. You see, if you look at a clock, that's what he says. If you look at a clock, every little spring, every wheel, every tooth, every lever, every screw, every nut, every bolt, every shiny little thing is there for a purpose. You take one of them out, this is stop working. There is no space for one extra piece there. Every one of them has a purpose. Nothing without a purpose is inside that. That is how beautiful, how perfect a machinery, a clock is, a watch is. And so he says, out there, every one of them is alive because they have a purpose. They have been put on earth to do something. That something is not done yet. They'll be alive till then. And when I look at myself, he says, I'm an orphan. But when I look at myself, I see myself as one tiny screw somewhere in the top corner. I have a role to play. Probably I don't know it yet. I have a role to play though, because I wouldn't be alive otherwise. So my intention today is to find that role. What is my purpose in life? So I would say, to summarize then, your only purpose is to find your purpose. It's not a job. It's not a career. It's a calling. From a calling comes a career. From a career comes a job. Don't look at it in the wrong direction. So here are the 10 warnings that we saw in the past hour. There will never be a master plan. Degrees won't matter. Academia, industry gap will exist forever. Drona was wrong and right too. The 3 R's are important, but they're not what you think. They are now rigor, relevance, and relationships. Fight your tendency to fight. Do not compete all the time. And when competing, don't pick the wrong game. Pick the right game. Beware of the jungle school. We don't want a world of averages. Your goal can't be happiness. Your only purpose in life is to find your purpose. I was watching another movie. In that movie, this girl, I think the movie's name is Uere. It's a Malayali movie. And the Malayalam movie talks about a girl who gets a birthday card. And the card says, we all have 2 lives. We all have 2 lives. The first one ends when we realize that we only have one. Slight puzzling line. But when you think about it, you will realize that there is mortality built in. There is limited time for us to find our purpose, for us to do something out there meaningful. The world needs you. You might be a mechanical engineer, you might be a civil engineer, you might be a computer scientist, you might be an arts student. Today, the world needs young blood like you to go out there and solve problems. It needs you more than it has ever needed the youth of the world to come together. We are fighting a dangerous enemy, an enemy against whom we don't even know what weapon to use. Forget about defeating the enemy. இந்த ஆயுதத்தை பயன்படுத்தினா தோக்கடிக்க முடியும் தெரிய கூட இன்னும் இல்ல நம்மளுக்கு. That is the challenge we are living in. So, waste not a single moment. Dive into the world. Internalize some of these lessons that might have appealed to you. We are there to help you along. All the best. Thank you.